Good morning, everyone. So my name is Wawa. I'm from the APNA portfolio team, and today I'm going to talk about how do we motivate ourselves to change behavior. So before I start, let me ask you questions about the STS session that we had last Friday. Anyone has attended Andrea's session? STS, right? So the topic was about how do we change our habit and read more than 50 books a year. She's crazy, but that's what she planned to do for us. But what do you guys think about that topic? Is it meaningful? Is it helpful to you? Does it open your eyes about how to change habit? Yeah?
Very meaningful.
So thanks to her, I think that she has equipped us with new knowledge about how do we change our habit. So she say in her presentation, I remember she say we must first start with changing the identity, set an identity, have a process, and achieve the goal. So now that we know the information that we need to have to change the behavior, so we went back on the weekend reflecting on ourselves. I'm going to change habit on Monday. But when Monday comes, nothing happens. So why? It's because we don't have the motivations to change the behavior. So today, I'm going to share with you how do we change ourselves and others to change behavior. So I think this is a research I do for myself, and I think it will be meaningful for you guys too. So I'll walk you through the agenda for today, and I have my notes too. I will talk about the assumptions that we have in thinking we are motivating people, and the relatable examples behind the new science research, and also the tips of changing the behavior of yourself and others. And I will sum up at the end. If you have any questions, you can ask me at the end, but please be nice because I'm nervous as hell. Okay, so let's start with the pictures that I shared. So the picture shows about reading books. You probably think about Andrea by now. And then quit smoking, want to change your weight, and want to improve relationships. So we all have behaviors and habits that we want to change. It could be anything in your mind right now. And as a human, it's very common for us to also have the instinct to help change other people's behavior. It could be your kids, if your parents, it could be your spouse, if you're married, or your boyfriend, girlfriend, your colleagues that's sitting next to you right now, and maybe your team members if you're people managers, and maybe your coachee if you're currently coaching at Ohana program. So let's talk about the strategy that we use to change people's behavior. Usually, how do we tell people to change behavior? Let's say we talk about stop snacking. How do we tell someone to stop snacking? Wanna give a shot?
Stop snacking.
Stop snacking, and then we will add it at the end. You get fat. So that's why I tell my boyfriend, go ahead, eat. You get fat. That's very normal for us to hear that, right? So if you're Asian Malaysian, you will hear this a lot, whether you agree with me or not. You will hear this. You go lah, you go and eat. See what happens to your weight. See that, then you come back and tell me. See how? So it's very normal, right? What we try to tell people, we try to warn them. So we think that this assumption is working. And why do we use this warning? The main point of why we use this warning is because we think that when we create a warning and threats, we can induce the fear in people. And when we induce the fear in people, people get to change their behavior. We get people to move and change their behavior. So it is not just common among individuals at our levels, but it's also very common in health campaign, it is common in company policies, and also country rules and regulations, right? So you can relate that. So the question is why? Why do we think warning can help induces actions? So it's because the science by Sherrod, I read about her, she said that we share deep-rooted belief in ourselves. thinking that in our mind, if we threaten someone, the fear is induced, we get them to move. But the truth is, the thing that we do, we only induces more of the don'ts than the do. We are trying to block someone than enabling them. That's what science says. So the warning that we use, we tell our kids, we tell our spouse, and we tell our coaching and team members, it's like a real assumption that thinking, oh, we're going to get things moving by threatening them. But until the science says, there's the research, the science proves that warning has actually a limited impact on people. So what does it mean? So it means that when you induce this fear, you make an assumption that you can change people's action. But the truth is, it only induces no actions at all. And by creating the fear, research is trying to tell us it's not that threat doesn't work at all. That doesn't mean that when you threat someone, it's not going to work at all. But what they're trying to say is that the impact that we're going to do it on to people is just going to be limited and maybe just a temporary. You might going to get someone to do it for you, but they're going to get angry. But are they going to come back tomorrow and do it? Maybe not. You're going to whip them again. But are they going to come back in future and become a lifestyle? Never. Never ever. So the question is why? Why we are as a human, we think we act resistance to the warning. So let me share you an experience. So you look at my picture, it's a hedgehog. Anyone here has a pet at home? No? No dogs? You got dogs? Cats? I have a hedgehog. So what I'm trying to say, let's take your pet as an example. Animals, by nature, when you try to threat them, they feel fear. So when the fear is induces, what they do? Usually, they will freeze and stop, and they will flee away, right? That's very common, and fighting back is not so much. Same thing if, as a human, if we go into a conversation, tough conversation with your boss, and then in the meeting, you are happily sharing everything, and then suddenly somebody attacks you. Whatever reason it is, you feel threatened, and then you started to feel fear. So what do? As a human, you shut down, you feel hurt, and you shut down. You either walk away, you keep your comments, you probably get angry and shout back, but basically you're just trying to avoid the information and eliminate that negative feelings. You walk away into a corner, call your boyfriend, call your husband, and really cry or take a cup of coffee just to come back to your rooted belief to get away from that negative feelings. So that is what science says. So for example, if you tell yourself about the snack, or maybe the easiest way is about smoking. So you get someone to be in a conversation and try to stop this person to quit smoking, and then he get upset. When he get upset, he probably gonna go back out of the conversation and thinking that, hey, being defensive, yeah, and thinking, hey, my mom, my dad, my grandpa, my grandpa all smoke, and they live until at the age of 90. So maybe I have a good chance. It might be, I might get cancer, I might not. So that's the rooted belief that they have. We always go back to rationalize ourselves to keep us away of thinking the bad impact that might happen. So that's why if you guys seen in the market, the cigarette box that have disturbing image of cancer doesn't deter people from quit smoking. So I read a research that says that the truth, when they do a research of hundreds of people, when they see the disturbing image of the cigarette, the priority for the smokers to quit smoking reduced tremendously after they look at the image. So basically, warning doesn't work at all. And all of this cycle, the cycle of thoughts and actions that we experience when we feel threatened, we ended up with the perceptions of boomerang effect. So boomerang, it means that when you feel threatened, you induces the fear, and then you try to eliminate the fear by fleeing away, and then try to calm yourself to the positive, to the natural state of yourself, to that rooted belief. So how do I translate this? When you're in a conversation, tough conversation, you just avoid the message. You maybe don't even look at the WhatsApp or Slack. And if you are in a conversation with your boss, you probably deny the risk that he was telling you. And then if you're with a friend, you're gonna mock the conversation. Or maybe you would just cause an unhealthy relationship with them because you are angry. So in this process, what science tries to say is that when we receive a warning and feel threatened about it, our human brain reacts as more resilient and more defensive than before. So in this case, what people usually do, you just put their head into the ground. It means that they're already just going to look away. They're trying to avoid the negative thoughts and negative minds. So when I read about this, I was thinking, what actually brings people to pull their head off the ground? Until I saw Sherrod's research. She shared this graph. Is a proof from finance activity. So this graph is about the stock market, S&P 500, versus the numbers of people who log into their accounts. So people pull out their heads from the ground only to see the numbers of cash that they have in their account, not to any transaction, just to look at their accounts. So when the graph is whatever that you see here, the gray color is the number of people who log in. The black color is number of people. Is the stock market activity. So when the stock market is high, the graph shows that the number of login increases, and when the stock market drops, the number of login reduces. What does it say? It means that when the login is high, because people love to see the money, they love positive information, so they log in more. And then when they look at the stock market is low, they don't want to see that they have lost money. So they avoid from looking at the account. So this is true only if you be able to avoid the negative impact at reasonable value at a certain point. So what you don't see in this graph is that after a few months towards the right side of the graph, the market dropped tremendously. And then the number of login increases frantically. But it's too late. You lost your money. So what I want you to reflect is that, can you relate the finance activity into your daily lives? This is the interesting part. Reacting to good information and bad information. Let me bring you to the next slide. Okay, so now and its effect. When you look at the picture, the happy things at work is not doing anything, procrastinating, or when you have problems, you take drugs, and then you just feel bored. You feel that your relationship has an issue, you just crack the relationship, and then there's a pollution and climate change. So you probably think in your mind that there is a bad impact in the future, or it might not. Because why? In lives, our lives could happen in many ways. It can go that way, it can go this way, and when we move along with the time to passes and reach towards the future, our mind, our human brain, know how to adapt to it. We know how to manipulate the outcomes. So you might end up with a bad impact from this, or you might not. So because for us to make the changes to make sure that we get the right, good ending, it feels there's so much energy to change because it's a habit. You gotta change, you gotta be consistent, and then when there's a lot of energy, and then you decided to say to yourself, maybe you have said this before to yourself, what is the point to be worried about the future? I might end up well, I might end up not. Or maybe I might end up dead altogether. Who cares? The present is the most important thing, which is true, but we don't know what's the bad part in the future. So you will tell yourself, Hakuna Matata. Don't worry, be happy. Or maybe, K Sarah, what will be. This K Sarah, this is what happened in later effect. Let me rewind to the picture before. Having fun at work, procrastinating, you missed the deadline. Taking drugs without thinking through, you might have bad health, or you might end up dead. cheating crack the relationship, you might have a separation. Pollution and climate change, it will cause a natural disaster to its animal and ourselves. So, okay. So in your mind right now, you probably have visualized or image, the image of things that you can relate from the finance and the pictures I've said to you, or maybe it could happen to you as well. So yeah, you tell me, okay, well, while you tell us about the now and later effect, we get it. So what are the information that gets leaked into our mind and behavior? So back to the scientist, Sherrod. She's the professor of cognitive neuroscience. She did an experiment. It's very interesting in her lab. She met more than 100 people to do an experiment on how human brains react to good and negative information. And then she categorized the people and the results based on the age: kids, young adults, and old folks. And then she realized that different age reacts to good news and bad news differently. So I'm not going to go deep into that. In general, what she's trying to say is that instead of going against the brain activity, why not we go along with it? So she suggested 3 principles. So these 3 principles works like an affirmation to help us tell our brain to change our behavior. So what is it? The first one is social incentive. So people, they love to be socialized. I'm not going to talk about whether you're introvert or extrovert. It doesn't matter. In general, people love to feel belong. People love to interact. Whether you're in a small group or whether you're in a big group, it doesn't matter. But people love to hear other people's opinion as well. So there's an intervention of Facebook, Twitter, what else? I feel old. Maybe Snapchat. So what we care is when we see the social media, we care about the number of hearts, number of likes, number of comments, and then we feel pushed towards a positive news that we want to hear. And then we also care about what other people think. That's right. A lot of selfie filters being created now because they want to feel belong to the group. So what happened here is that because of brain reacts towards what other people's opinions. I can give an example about my boyfriend. So this guy, he wants to lose his weight. He was a rugby player before, and then he didn't do rugby for quite some time. Then he wanted to go back to the activity. So remember when I say people love to hear people's opinion, people love to feel belong. So I was there, so I experienced it, I witnessed it. When he go into the field, and he comes back excited, and then he say, "Did you see that? Did you see those guys with big buff body?" Of course, what do you think? I see it. And then he say, do you see how he runs? I want to be like him. I used to run like him, but no longer now. But I want to be like him. And then do you hear what my coach say? If I lose my stomach, I can run fast too. He want to be like them, and he responding to other people's opinion. So I said, go ahead, that's good. And then another experience that I did with this principle, I applied this in my emails, usually with the former GP. So I want to get these guys to respond to my survey form. It's very hard to get them to read the email. So usually when I want them to get to do 100% responses within a certain period of time, I will track them. I will tell them the deadline is here. My boss is chasing me. I can give all the facts. But if I'm lucky, maybe I can get out of the 100%, 4 to 5 people respond in 2 weeks' time. So until I found this principle, I changed my approach. So I added this line, say, hey, I noticed that maybe 5 or 6 of you have responded to the survey, and I'm excited to see 100% responses so that we can achieve the goal. So it doesn't happen all the time, but most of the time, I could see the compliance increased by 50 to 20% of the responses. So you see, if people react to other people's opinion, so why not we give a good opinions to them, gets them to be to change the behavior. So second principle is the immediate rewards. So I read this book. I'm not sure whether you guys have read this before. Have you heard about 12 weeks here? Anyone? Okay. So basically, it is a good book. I think you guys should read it if you're project managing, you're eager about achieving goals at work. It's a good book to reference with. You can get it online from Safari. It's available. So when I read this book, I was so skeptical. 12 weeks, years. I'm not familiar with the term because 12 months, year, yeah, because it makes more sense to achieve a goal. So what this guy, the writer, I forgot the name, he said, okay, let's just break down your 1 year goal into quarters, so 3 months. So he wants us to break that annual goal into 3 months and act as though that 3 months is 1 whole year. The reason why he wants to do that is because I did that, I experimented, and I realized that there's a sense of satisfaction when I'm done with the quarter one and I achieve 25% of my goal, of my project. That sense of satisfaction is an immediate rewards. So you might have experienced this with OKR, I think. You guys discuss it by early of the quarter, then you achieve it, and then you celebrate it. That's an immediate rewards, right? So, in Kelly Sherrod's research, she say about associating rewards and behavior. So if I bring this back to the life example, if you quit smoking, you associate quit smoking with a reward, you associate quit snacking with a reward, or maybe cleaning dishes with a reward, you might end up within a timeline of 6 months, as science suggested, you might end up with a good habit, and eventually it might be a lifestyle. So immediate rewards, you can actually reward somebody or yourself with a good behavior to bridge the gap for now and later effect, so that you can get motivated to continue doing it. The last principle is the progress monitoring. So in the research that Kelly Sherrod conducted that shows about how brain reacts towards negative informations. And then she say human brains react better in processing good informations. So what does it mean? It means that as a human, if you want to grab people's attention, you gotta highlight the progress, not the decline. So let me bring you back to this boyfriend that wants to change the body shape and weight. So now that he feels belong, he feels excited seeing other people in his team are exercising and playing rugby. And then he gets immediate rewards because he don't feel as much guilty as before when he tried to steal food at night. So now he monitoring his progress. So he checked this progress is too much, I think, because he checked it every day, and then every day he will come and tell me about the changes. So last Monday he tell me, hey, you know what? I actually lose another half kg this week. So he's been consistently reducing his weight half a kg for the past 3 months. And then he come back the night after and then he say, oh, you know what? I lose another 0.01 kg. I'm like, okay. But it doesn't matter because the truth is, it's not about how much he loses. It's about highlighting the progress. So I then approach him by saying, okay, you know what? If you continue to stop stealing the snack and the meal prep that I prepare at night, you may be able to wear your old jeans next month. Instead of responding to my first sentence, he said, oh yeah, I think so. I want to do that. I want to continue the diet. Highlighting the progress, not the decline. And I can give you another example in workspace. If you go into a meeting, product owners or yourself as a project manager, you go in, you tell the stakeholders about the progress of the project. You don't go in and tell them, hey, we lose 10 billion, by the way, and then this is the progress that we made. If it was my boss, he probably got a heart attack. So highlight the progress and not the decline. So I can share with you another experience that I have. This is my Fitbit summary. So what I see is what we're trying to do is because I wanted to prove that Tadi Sherrod has these 3 principles applies in our daily life. So I found that maybe daily activity on my Fitbits or Duolingo. So, but I think this is much easier. So I see social incentive. So what Fitbit does is that he allows me to be connected to people. I am not so social, so I got 4 friends there. I got James and Reddit in the list. What I can do, I can just pick into their activity and see how much step they do, depending on what are the goals that's similar to me. And then I start looking at the badges. So I have a lot of badges, maybe not as much as James, but on the day that James didn't hit his goal, steps goal, I was like, at least I hit 10 more steps than him. I feel better about myself. But if in the day that really did so much steps and I can't hit even average of my step, then I start feeling, I want to be in that way, he get that badge. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does give you that sense of, I also want to collect the badges. So what this part of immediate rewards is giving me is the opportunity to grow. That's why you get a smiley face on certain apps, and you say you receive a notification on your screen. Good job, you achieved the goal today. That's an immediate reward. This is a sense of satisfaction. Or if you're not using any apps and then you use a to-do list, you list down everything for the day. The sense of you checking it off and scribble, it gives you immediate reward. I've done it. 6 more to go, 60 more to go out of 70. And then I start looking at my progress, because I think, how do I get there? I don't want to look at the monthly progress because it's just gonna kill my motivation. So I look at specific last week because I think I did well. So 7-day summary. So I said, okay, my goal is more than 5. So it's more than half of my daily steps goal. I hit more than half of my workout goal, and I overachieve in my sleeping goal. I am a good sleeper, So and I achieve 25 minutes per day instead of 5 minutes per day of active. Then I look at my goal weight. It doesn't have nothing happened there, but anyway, highlight the progress, not the decline. So I decided to think that what Fitbit is trying to give me is that the sense of control, knowing where I am, so that I be able to change my behavior the following week. So before I end, what I want you to know is that what I'm not trying to say here is that I'm not trying to say you should stop telling risks to people. I'm not trying to say this method fits everything, but I want us to reflect on ourselves. What is the method that we use that is not helping other people to change behavior or ourselves? So why not? This is the time for us to change that method. And in SAKE, I believe that we have applied this principle into this program specifically. So I run this Ohana program. It's a coaching program that we run with previous GDP and JSEDU, and we have seen the benefit out of it, and we're currently running it with PD in KL. So I hope it can be extended as a benefit to everyone. So if you have any questions about coaching program, you can drop me an email, you can reach out to me and talk to me about this program, or I can even direct you to other coaches. Can the coaches from Ohana program, if you're here, can you raise your hand? Anyone? So we have 19 of them, so these are 2. And if you want an insight from the people who have experience from the program, being a coachee, I can also direct them to you. So anyone who are currently in the coaching program as a coachee or have done it before, can you raise your hand? Can? Yeah. So these are the guys, and you can contact them. So I will end my presentations today in the reflections to remind ourselves that if we want to change other people and ourselves, let's enable people by saying the good stuff, so that we will eventually have a better future. Thank you.